Am I the asshole for not leaving my estate to my severely disabled brother? I, 33F, received a terminal diagnosis earlier this year. I've got a couple of years at best estimate to get everything in order before I won't have the cognitive ability to do so anymore. I've been working with a lawyer and an end-of-life care social worker to make sure everything will go as smoothly as possible and my wishes will be respected. I also have a complicated family situation. My parents were never married and my dad died when I was 12 of the same condition I now have. He never married, so all his assets were put in a trust for me by my grandparents. My mom married after they broke up and had my half-brother, 26M. He is severely mentally disabled. He's a 7-year-old in a grown man's body, and even with all the resources they can get, he's very difficult to care for, and my mom and stepdad barely get by most of the time. They tried really hard to get legal control of my trust when I was living with them, but couldn't. I help out some when things are really hard, but I feel like my mom treats me like an emergency fund rather than her daughter, and my stepdad has been bitter about the financial stuff. My dad was very successful and his family is well off, since even before my dad died. I don't talk to either of them about my life because they always get passive-aggressive and guilt-trippy. I've been trying to talk more with my mom now that I know I'm on borrowed time. We've never had a great relationship, but I wanted to try and resolve some of it. She's been much nicer to me and more concerned since the diagnosis, so I thought it was okay to open up a bit. I didn't want her to be blindsided or feel like she has to take on anything since I've appointed another family member to be my medical and financial POA, so I talked to her recently about my plans. I told her that I know my half-brother is a full-time job, so I'm having other people take care of my care so she won't be burdened. She was thankful for that, but then brought up how she always hoped that I would be the one to make sure my brother was taken care of when she was gone, and that in a way I still would be. She would put whatever I leave behind into his care fund and would make sure he knows it's from his big sister. This is where I might be the I'm not leaving anything to my mom or brother. I don't have kids, but I have been the favorite auntie to my best friend's 2 children for their entire lives. They are the light of my life and I spend a lot of time with them. My BFF and I have been through a lot together. She and her husband have been the ones going with me to appointments and letting me crash in their spare room when I was too sick from meds to be home alone. Whatever is left over after I'm gone is going to the kids for college. I know it's money that could secure better care for my half-brother and take some of the load off my mom, but I feel like I want to help someone else now. Not the asshole. You've thought carefully about your decision, and you're making arrangements that align with your values and relationships. Your half-bro's care is undeniably a huge responsibility, but it's also a responsibility that rests with your mom and stepdad. It's clear that you have a deep bond with your best friend's kids, who've been a huge source of comfort and support to you. Choosing to leave your estate to them is a deeply personal decision, and you have every right to direct your assets where you feel they'll bring the most meaning and fulfillment. Best of luck. Not the asshole, not in the least. You are in an unimaginably dreadful situation, with no good options. You've done everything right so far. Read the POAs. Ensure that your will strictly conforms to your wishes. Some people put a clause in the will stating, "I have chosen not to make provisions for A, B and C. This is my express wish." The clause makes it harder for A, B and C to challenge the will. My heart goes out to you on so many levels. Please, take care of yourself, take care of the little ones, and do what you want with your inheritance. That's surely what your dad intended. Not the asshole. You should also give yourself a free pass to not tell your mother your plans before your passing. Just write her a letter that explains. Or leave your brother something smaller. You have the right to enjoy the time you have left without having to have this argument with her. You need to take steps to ensure they cannot challenge your will. Your lawyer will know what parlance to use, but it would probably be good to specifically mention them and why they get nothing or leave a token amount. This proves that you didn't forget them. I don't know how far any cognitive issues have progressed, but it may be beneficial to be tested by a professional and certified competent. This, too, would remove the possibility of them claiming that you were incompetent at the time of the will's creation. I'm so very sorry for your diagnosis. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. I would be telling my mom that with my medical situation and plans to spend what time I have left living life to the fullest, that there will be no money or assets left to give. She doesn't need any other information about your will than that. With that information, one of 2 things will probably happen. She won't care about the money and also want to enjoy with you what time you have left, or she will be upset you don't plan to leave anything. Either way, it will clearly show you how much of your remaining time you spend with her. All the best wishes for your journey ahead, and hope you get to experience as much love and joy as possible for your remaining time. Not the asshole. Your mom already tried to steal your money once, so make sure there is nothing she can do to get it when you die. I love the fact you are helping the people who loved and cared for you even after death. I am sorry you don't have much longer to live. I hope you make the best of it and enjoy what you can. Am I the asshole for disinviting my daughter to Thanksgiving when she won't host Thanksgiving? Throwaway. In our family, holidays are rotated, so one person hosts the 4th of July, another hosts Christmas, and another hosts Thanksgiving, etc. This way, no one is constantly hosting, and it makes it fair for everyone. This post is about my middle daughter, Clara. Clara has always been skipping her host duties. When it gets to her, she has an excuse why she can't host. It ranges but usually goes along the lines of stress or she is too busy. This results in other family members to pick up her holiday. It is frustrating and multiple people have talked to her about this. She bailed on hosting Easter but promised me that she would do Thanksgiving. We swapped holidays. At the time I made it very clear she needed to stay true to her word, and if she dumped it on someone else she wouldn't be going to Thanksgiving. It usually gets dumped on me. Anyway, I called her asking if she wanted me to bring a dessert board for Thanksgiving. She told me that she could not host because she had just moved into her home. She moved in July, and it was too messy to host. I told her she could clean since it was a few weeks away. She told me she can't. I know the other kids can't host it. Well, one could, but she is doing Christmas and it's not fair at all for her. I informed everyone it would beat my place this year. I also informed everyone that Clara is not invited this year to Thanksgiving. Clara was pissed when I told her that and we got into a huge argument. She thinks I am a big jerk. My other kids are split. 2 of them are happy since they are tired of picking up her slack when this happens, while others thinks this is too far. So outside opinion. This post is weird to me. Why would you try and force someone to host that doesn't want to? Her hosting is more important to you guys than being with her during a holiday? The rotation should include whoever wants to be included. It sounds like you're making holidays way too hard. Gather at whoever's house is biggest and doesn't mind visitors, and everyone brings something. It really doesn't have to be this difficult. Question: is this something everyone willingly agreed to, or were told this is how it is? Some people just aren't good hosts and don't want to host. What about having her pitch in it, with hosts on the prepping and cleaning? Should she flake? No. She should be an adult and have an honest conversation about what's going on with her. But booting her from family holidays seems extreme. Life is short and sometimes there are empty chairs over the years. Don't make regrettable choices over this. Have a conversation. Discuss each other's expectations, abilities, and realistically make a new plan. My way or the highway causes hurt and separation. I dunno if anyone is an awe or just really bad communicators. You want to have the holiday without your child? You're okay with that? Your child wants to celebrate the holiday with you but you don't want her to? Remove her from the hosting rotation. Hug her. Remember when she was a baby in your arms. Treasure each and every day with her. Jesus Christ, lady. There are parents out there who would give anything to have their child home for Thanksgiving. Info. I can't help but feel like there may be some reason why Clara won't or can't host. Is she neurodiverse? Some neurodiverse people struggle to invite others into their space. Does she work a particularly demanding and busy job? ETA. While these are the 2 reasons I could think of off the top of my head, probably through personal experience, these are not the only reasons possible. Okay, so wait. You have forced a holiday rotation schedule and one child doesn't WSNT to do it. So instead of asking why and really making sure she's okay, you want to disinvite her from another FSMIMY gathering. Yikes. Great family. Not the asshole. If she's not going to contribute in any way, shape, or form, she can feel free to bring nothing, including herself. In the past my family rotated who hosted holidays, but it was one person did Thanksgiving at their house one year, another person at theirs the next. But everyone brought something. If I'm invited to someone's house for a meal, I'm either bringing something or helping. I don't understand the disrespect to do neither. In her case, it makes her a not welcome guest in anyone's home. She needs to understand it's okay if she doesn't want to host any of the holidays, then don't expect to continue to be invited. Am I the asshole for not considering the name important to my parents and my husband's parents for our daughter? My husband and I had our first child together a week ago and we chose a name that our families weren't thrilled about. Wren, for those who will ask. They didn't really say anything, but I know neither side loves nature-themed names. It was a couple of days after she was born that my parents told me they had the name Dorothy saved for a daughter after me, and when I was 2 they miscarried a baby and called her Dorothy in their hearts. They told me Dorothy would be a lovely name and Dorothy Wren didn't sound terrible, so wouldn't that be a nice way to honor the baby who should have been my sibling? A couple of days later my husband's parents and my parents told us they wanted us to consider the name Dorothy, and after discussing it they realized it had meaning on both sides. My ILs were helped a lot by an old elderly neighbor when they first got married, and her name was Dorothy and they always considered that name for a girl, but they had all boys. Both sets of parents said it was like a message being sent and it would be the perfect name for our daughter. My husband reminded them we had already named our daughter and she's Wren. The parents asked me to consider it as the mom and I said no. That my husband and I chose the name we feel is right for our daughter and we have zero regrets. They told us back in their day you took your parents' and family's wishes on board with naming your children and followed conventions of the past. My husband actually argued with his parents because they don't speak to either of their first families and were estranged from them their entire adult lives. But there was still a lot of pushback and my parents said it was hurtful that I wouldn't even consider it. Am I the asshole? Not the asshole. This is the time to set boundaries and make it clear you and your husband are the parents. They don't get that kind of say in things when it comes to your children. I would simply tell them, our daughter already has a name, we're not changing it, and we will not be discussing it anymore. Not the asshole. And you have to hold the line on this. Your parents went behind your back to rope in your IELTS to pressure you to do what they want, and you cannot let this tactic work. You'll get it forever, if it ever works once. Love your husband's response of, what do you mean in your day parental input and traditions were respected, you didn't even speak to yours. Maybe they'll realize that's a tradition that might be upheld if they keep overstepping, maybe not. Your child is your child. Not your parents' redo. You considered their suggestion and decided against it. Your daughter deserves her own name, which you have given her. And it sounds like they only brought up this, oh but we're so attached to this name, stuff because they don't like the name you picked. 100% pressure tactic. Not the asshole. When my son was still a womb nugget my mom demanded I named my son Samuel because that should have been my name. I'm not a Samantha either so IDK. I immediately vetoed it because it wasn't one both me and my ex liked. She then said I owed it to her because I was supposed to be a boy and then came out a girl. When I again said no she said that's fine I'll just take custody, adopt him and name him Samuel myself. My child is 13, not named Samuel and has zero idea who she is. I'd say your parents are not done grieving their miscarriage, and need to address this instead of seeing your lovely daughter as their second chance. As to your in-laws, I suggest the best way to honor the great help their Dorothy offered is to pay it forward. Not the asshole. Ren is your baby, your choice. It's sweet that both families have emotional connections to the name Dorothy, but you and your husband picked a name that feels right for your daughter. It's 2024, not the 1950s, time to let go of the family tradition, pressure and let you both be the ones to decide. Sorry, I do not want to name my child after a dead child first of all. Secondly, I have chosen my child's name just like you chose your children's names and that is the end of the discussion. If her name being Ren bothers you so much we'll just not bring her around so you don't have to worry about it anymore. Am I the asshole for not telling my dad's wife more about my medical condition and how it impacts me? I, 19 male, have a form of epilepsy that has needed to be accommodated for my whole life. I don't have seizures every day but I am on meds. I do still get seizures and I need to be careful about what I look at or do for too long. My mom died when I was 10 and last year my dad remarried. I was still living with him at the time. But a couple of weeks after the wedding his wife went into my study space and she broke a photo of my mom and a glass figurine that my mom used to own while cleaning. She apologized for the photo but brushed off the figurine even though she knew what it was and she did it because she thought it was ugly. I asked her why the hell she went in there in the first place. She had to go through my room to get to the study space. And she told me she was cleaning and wanted to do something nice. She told me accidents happen and I asked her how she just happened to break a photo frame holding my mom's photo and a figurine my mom used to own. She told me I was reading too much into it and that I should be grateful she was willing to even look at anything that belonged to my mom. The fight got so bad that I decided to move out of my dad's house because I did not trust her with anything of my mom's. I also didn't want to have her to act like she could just go into my room. Dad wanted me to calm down and to let him find a replica of the figurine to make up for it. He also wanted me to stay but I told him I would not after her attitude about the figurine and what she said about being grateful she'd look at that stuff. He worried a lot about me but I moved in with grandparents so I was safe and had other people there, just in case, even though I don't actually need that. He just worries about me in that way. After the incident I do not like my dad's wife and I keep my distance from her. But he has confided in her about my condition and the stress. She was upset I never talked to her about it and she has tried to reach out so I'll fill her in on more about it and the impact on me so she knows better. I have refused. I do not want to discuss my medical information with her or my health. She said we're family and she needs to know what to look out for and she said I'll need to be around her again sometime or I'll lose dad so we should come together and I should let her care for me too. I didn't reply to several of her attempts and the last time, 4 days ago, I did reply and I told her she is not my parent, she is not my actual family. She is not a person I live with and she's not my doctor and none of that is her business. She told me I'm making life difficult and to think more of my dad who deserves to see us get along and be a family. She also said she deserves to know important stuff like this. Am I the asshole? Dad, stop asking me to move back in. You are choosing her over me. You and her are why I moved out. Had you had my back and told her to stay out of my space and respect my boundaries instead of telling her my business, I would still be living there. I can't trust you or her. Please tell your wife to stop calling me, texting me and reaching out. She burned whatever relationship we had or might have had. Your only choice to stay in my life to stop talking about her, trying to get me to talk to her or anything to do with her. Not the asshole. Block her and all communication with her. Send her emails to junk. Tell your father that you are happy for him but your medical history is something that he shouldn't share with anyone without your consent. He's just wrong for that. When in her presence, take the icy polite response. Hello. Walk away. Yes or no, change the subject. When asked to talk, politely say, there's nothing to discuss. Not the asshole. No, you made life difficult with your bullshit story about breaking a picture frame of me and my mother and a figurine, you know was of hers. No way you accidentally broke those two things. We could have been friends, but your actions have consequences. You will never be anything other than my father's wife from here on. She went into your room and study space to snoop. She did not break anything other than a photo frame holding your mom's photo and a figurine your mom used to own and then proceeded to insult you by saying you should be grateful she looked at the stuff? There is no way I would trust your dad's wife, much less want a relationship with her. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. It doesn't feel like a coincidence that your dad's wife only broke mementos from your mom, and it's even worse that she lied about it rather than apologize. She can't get upset with you for hiding information when she's already proven herself untrustworthy. Not the asshole. I'm having a hard time being polite about this woman. No matter what else, she went into your private space on a flimsy excuse and broke something irreplaceable. She was not apologetic but doubled down that she's right to violate your mother's memory. How dare she think it's amazing that she puts up with her husband and stepchild having mementos of a late mother, wife. She couldn't even do the bare minimum. She deserves nothing. And if your father won't talk to her about breaking your belongings, then he doesn't deserve a relationship. I just don't understand people like her.